This is a video for how to go about creating formula-based quiz questions in Canvas within the classic quiz format and the new quiz format. You'll notice on my screen that I am on a home page, and in a previous video I had discussed about how to create item banks. And when we go to item banks, you will see that this is for the new quiz question type formula. So when I go to Unit 1 question bank and I get this new menu, this is not the classic quiz format. This would be the new quiz format. It has different options than the older classic quiz format. Just for the sake of discussion, I'm going to show you exactly what that means. I'm going to go to quizzes real quick, and you'll notice that I've imported a whole bunch of old quiz banks and item banks from a class I'm teaching. And if I decided I wanted to create a new quiz, I can go up to something known as Manage Question Banks, and you'll see every one of these question banks all categorized within here. I'm going to go back to quizzes real quick, and if I go to add a quiz, it's going to ask me for classic quizzes or new quizzes. New quizzes are the new item banks that we looked at, towards the beginning of the video. Classic quizzes are the older format of quizzes that don't have the same options. So I'm going to go to cancel real quick, and we're going to go to item banks. And we're going to do a question in the new quiz format, and we're going to do one eventually in the older quiz format as well. So I'm going to click on my new question bank, and I'm going to go to new. And we're going to choose a brand new formula-based question. And we go to the formula-based question, you're going to notice it's going to ask us to define variables by something known as backticks. And backticks are the little icon. It kind of looks like a quotation mark. It's right next to the number 1. To the left of the number 1 on your keyboard is where you'll find it. It'll make a little bit more sense as I go through. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, what is, and I'm going to kind of start something, I'm going to go parentheses, and I'm going to hit one of those backticks. And I'm going to hit the letter A, and I'm going to hit another backtick. And you're going to notice down here at the bottom, these variables start showing up. And you can see A there for that variable. And I'm going to go times another backtick here, and I'm going to go B, and another backtick, and you're going to see another variable shows up. Every time I want a variable, I have to do a backtick, a letter, and then another backtick. And I'm going to close this, and I'm going to say divided by, and I'm going to go backtick, C, backtick. And you're going to notice down here at the bottom, it says once you have entered your variables above, you should see them listed below. And I can go, from a minimum to a maximum number, whatever I choose to do. I can increase or decrease the number of decimals. I'm going to go 2 decimal places for each one of these. And we're going to go ahead and just kind of start writing out a test question. So I can say A, a minimum is 1.00 to 10. And let's go to B, and I have to do the smallest number to the left and the largest number on the right. And I'm going to say 0.5, 0.75. And then C, I'm going to say it's going to be 11 to 20. And I'm just going to leave that. Now down at the bottom it says, now next write the formula or formula used to compute the correct answer. Now up here at the top, what we wrote was the test question. This is how a student would see it. So it would say, what is, I'm just going to the minimum numbers here. What is 1 times 0.5 divided by 11? And that's what the student would see, the exact number though. Down here at the bottom, we have to write the formula that we would use. And we don't have to use those backticks when we write it. So I'm going to say just parentheses A times B divided by C. That's all we have to write in for that. What we're telling Canvas is here is how you calculate this. And as I scroll down, you'll see generate the number of possible solutions. I'm going to say I want 200 solutions, give me 2 decimal places. We can do a margin error. I like to give sometimes 1/10 of an inch. Depending upon what you're teaching, you might want an absolute number and no margin of error, but this allows us to create something like field goalposts to where we can say what we're willing to accept on either side. You can also show a calculator for students if you want them to have a calculator. You can also, enable one question at a time. Sometimes it'll say it's unauthorized based on a question, and that's okay. You can align them to different outcomes that you have as well. But what we'll go ahead and do here is we're going to click on the word generate in blue. And when you click on generate, it'll start creating questions. And I just created 200 questions out of all the variables we did up here at the top. And you can notice it's going to say we'll accept plus or minus 0.1 on either side. And this is a lot of test questions. I'm scrolling through 200 different questions, and I can go to done. And we have now created a test question right here. So if we went in and created ourselves a quiz, we could just drag and drop this into that question if you're doing the new questions. So this is how we go about creating a formula-based question in the new quiz question format in Canvas. And you can actually see what the question would look like for a student. If you wanted to have them write that out, you could write it out a different way. The goal of, this video is to just show you how to write those questions and how to play with the variables a little bit. What I'm going to do is I'm now going to go back and we're going to do a classic format question, which is, it's the same function, but some people have been using Canvas for a while, would rather use that format. So I'm going to go to quizzes and I'm going to come up, and if I go to quiz up here and I go to classic quizzes, I'm going to go to submit. It's going to start asking me, to find different questions. And if I go to questions right in here and I say, I want to create a new question in the old format, I'm going to go to multiple choice and I'm going to go down and I'm going to go to formula question. And when formula shows up, I can go in here, and in our last question I said this, I'm going to go parentheses, and we have to now put in these little kind of bars that are right next to the letter P on your keyboard. And if I go A times, I'm going to put in these parentheses, they're the block parentheses. You can see the variables showing up down at the bottom. And I'm going to close parentheses and I'm going to go divided by, and we got to do these blocks again. It's different in the classic format. And I can say, what is, and I can say this right here. And then down at the bottom, you can see the variables showed up as I started typing those in. And I'm going to go 2 decimal places again. Same concept, we're just doing this in the classic quiz format. And I'm going to say we went between 1 and 10 for A before. I'm going to go 0.5, 0.75 again, and I think we did 10 to 20 on the last one. And again, it's going to ask us for the formula. And I'm just going to start my parentheses here. I'm going to say A times B. I'm going to close my parentheses and say divided by C. And I'm going to say save, and you have to say save. And it says, result equals 0. We haven't put anything in. I'm going to say I want 200 of these. And here's our margin of error again. I'm going to say 0.1. And I'm going to go generate. And it's going to generate. You have to give it a second. It's going to start generating these different types of questions. Get through 200 of them. It's just thinking, it's actually pretty impressive that it's going to give you 200 questions to use. And we'll see the exact same concepts underneath. You're going to see the questions that are given. There's 200 of them. And I can go ahead and just say, update question. And when I go to update question, you can see that right there is it's not what the student will see. The student will see an actual question like that. So I'm going to go back to details, and you can go in and try to find the question you want to place. You'd have to go to find questions to find that. So, if I go to find questions for me, and I scroll down and I try to find something that I know for a fact has a formula in it. And here's an example of, something known as static head calculations for a civil engineering class that I teach. It says, what is a static head at a residential supply line if the level in the tank is A feet? You can see those blocks. Now, if I come in here to edit, I can scroll down and I can see those variables that I've placed for the student, and I have the formula, and I have 30 questions. And what's nice about this is a student does not get the same question twice. Does not get the same question twice. It's kind of a cool thing. So I'm just going to go to save here. So that's the older formula questions. I'm going to go back down here to item banks, and we'll take a look at at our other question we did. We did 2 questions in unit 1. We still have this question here. If we want to go back and edit that in any way, we can. But if we created a new quiz and we wanted to place this, all we got to do is I'm going to go back to my sandbox here. I'm going to go to quizzes. And I'm going to come into here and I'm going to say, let's create a new quiz with that formula-based question. And if I say, new quizzes, it's going to know that I've created new quizzes within the new question bank. And once I'm into this quiz, I'm going to scroll down to something called build. It says a name is required. So I'm just going to call this a video quiz. And if I go down to build down here at the bottom, I'm going to have to try to find questions. So what I'll do is, I'll go to my item banks. It's going to only see the new item banks. I go to unit 1 item bank. I can say plus, and it's going to place that out there. And I'll go on ahead and get out of this. And if that was my only question, I can just go back to settings, and go back to go to return up here in the top right. Let's go back to our question in here, and we could go in and find that. And we could actually go ahead and take that quiz if we wanted to. It's kind of a cool thing. I can go to save, I can go to cancel, I can go a lot of different things in here. So we can actually publish this, go in and take it ourselves, but just for the sake of the video, I wanted to show you how we go in and place those new quiz questions out of the new quiz banks in Canvas itself. So this has been a video for how to go about creating formula-based quiz questions in the new formula format and in the classic formula format in Canvas.